At a lavish wedding in Colorado, 32-year-old Sara Mitchell found a camera hidden in the bride's bouquet. Her husband Jake, the groom's brother, whispered, "Be quiet, don't ruin the day." But when Sara realized that the recording was meant to be used for blackmail, her world turned upside down. The sun dipped low over the jagged peaks of the Rocky Mountains, casting a golden glow across the sprawling venue in Denver, Colorado. It was late June, the air thick with the scent of wildflowers and anticipation. Sara Mitchell, 32, adjusted the strap of her emerald green dress, a choice her husband Jake had approved with a curt nod that morning, and cradled her 1-year-old daughter, Eva, against her hip. Eva's tiny fingers tugged at Sara's necklace, oblivious to the hum of unease threading through her mother's chest. They were here for Jake's younger brother Tom's wedding, a lavish affair that screamed money and expectation. Sara hadn't wanted to come. Eva had been fussy all week, and Sara's sleep was a distant memory, but Jake's voice had sliced through her protests like a blade. "It's family. Don't make this a thing." So here she was, pasting on a smile as they stepped into the white and gold wonderland Tom had built for his bride, Kate. The ceremony unfolded under a canopy of twinkling lights, the kind of scene you'd see on a Pinterest board titled Dream Wedding. Kate, radiant in her lace gown, clutched a bouquet of peonies so perfect it looked sculpted. Tom, all sharp jawline and sharper suit, beamed beside her. Jake sat to Sara's left, his posture rigid, his hand brushing hers only to adjust his cufflinks. She glanced at him, hoping for a flicker of warmth, but his eyes were locked on Tom. Pride, not love, lighting them up. Sara shifted Eva to her other hip, the weight of her daughter grounding her as the officiant droned on about forever. That's when she saw it. A glint. Small, sharp, unnatural. Nestled deep in Kate's bouquet, amid the soft pink petals, something caught the light, a lens. Sara blinked, leaning closer as subtly as she could. It wasn't a trick of her tired eyes. It was a camera, tiny and sleek, its black eye staring out like a spider in a rosebush. Her breath hitched. She nudged Jake, keeping her voice low. "Do you see that? In the flowers?" His head snapped toward her, his hazel eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" he hissed, barely moving his lips. She pointed with her chin. "There's a camera in the bouquet." Jake's jaw tightened, a muscle twitching under his stubble. "Sit still," he muttered. "Don't ruin this for Tom." His tone wasn't a request, it was a warning. Sara's stomach twisted. She'd heard that tone before, more often since Eva was born. It wasn't anger, not yet, just a cold, clipped control that made her feel smaller every time. She sank back into her seat, clutching Eva a little tighter, her mind racing. A camera in the bouquet? Who put it there? Why? The vows wrapped up, and the crowd erupted into applause as Tom and Kate kissed. Sara clapped mechanically, her eyes darting back to the flowers now resting on the altar. The lens was still there, unblinking. She couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching her. The reception kicked off in a grand hall lined with floor-to-ceiling windows, the mountains framing the revelry like a postcard. Sara trailed Jake as he worked the room, shaking hands and laughing too loud, his salesman charm on full display. She lingered near the open bar, sipping a watered-down soda while Eva gnawed on a teething ring. That's when she overheard it. Tom, 3 whiskeys deep, leaned into a slick-haired guest in a gray suit. "Files are insurance, man," he slurred, smirking. "You don't get burned if you've got leverage." The guest chuckled, clinking glasses. "Smart. Real smart." Sara froze, her soda halfway to her lips. "Files. Leverage?" Her gaze flicked to the bouquet, now propped on the head table like a trophy. The camera's purpose clicked into place. Evidence, blackmail, something dirty. This wasn't just a wedding. She glanced at Jake, now across the room, his arms slung around Tom's shoulders. Brothers in arms, always had been. But the way Jake's eyes darted to her, then away, sent a chill down her spine. Did he know? Was he in on it? The thought lodged in her throat like a stone. Sara adjusted Eva's blanket, using the motion to steady her trembling hands. She didn't have proof, not yet, but the pieces were falling together too fast, too dark. The polished veneer of the day cracked, revealing something jagged beneath. As the band struck up a slow song and couples flooded the dance floor, Sara made a choice. She wouldn't confront Jake here, not now. But she wouldn't stay blind either. Slipping toward the head table under the guise of admiring the decor, she brushed her fingers along the bouquet. The camera was wired, a thin cord snaking into the stems. Her heart thudded. This was real. Too real. She pulled back just as Jake's shadow loomed behind her. "What are you doing?" His voice was low, edged with suspicion. Sara turned, forcing a smile. "Just looking at the flowers. They're gorgeous." His eyes searched hers. Too long, too hard. "Stay out of trouble," he said finally, then walked off to join Tom. Trouble, she thought, her pulse racing. Trouble's already here. The reception hall in Denver pulsed with life. Guests twirled on the dance floor, their shadows stretching across the polished wood under the glow of chandeliers. Sara Mitchell stood near the dessert table, pretending to fuss over a plate of mini cheesecakes while keeping one eye on the head table. The bouquet with its hidden camera sat there like a centerpiece, taunting her. Eva squirmed in her arms, teething rings slick with drool, her tiny whines blending into the hum of celebration. Sarah's heart hadn't stopped racing since the ceremony. Jake's sharp words, "Don't ruin this for Tom," echoing in her ears. She wanted to believe it was nothing, a weird prank, but her gut screamed otherwise. Jake was across the room, deep in conversation with Tom and a cluster of men in tailored suits. His laugh rang out, too loud, too practiced, the kind he used when he was selling something. Cars, promises, himself. Sara had seen that charm erode at home over the past year, replaced by clipped commands and cold silences. She shifted Eva to her hip, her green dress clinging to her skin from the heat of too many bodies packed together. The bouquet gnawed at her. She had to know. With a quick glance to ensure Jake's back was turned, she slipped closer to the head table, weaving through guests with murmured excuse-me's. The bride, Kate, was on the dance floor, her laughter bright and oblivious. Perfect. Up close, the bouquet was even more suspicious. Sara brushed her fingers along the peonies, feeling for the camera she'd spotted earlier. There it was, small, black, its lens glinting like a predator's eye. But then her fingers snagged on something else. A thin wire, barely visible, threading through the stems to a tiny disc tucked under a leaf. A microphone. Her breath caught. Not just video, audio too. She scanned the room, adrenaline spiking. Who were they recording? Why? She fumbled with the disc, her hands trembling, and felt a third component. A transmitter, its faint hum vibrating against her fingertips. This wasn't some cheap spy gadget. It was professional, deliberate. Her mind raced back to Tom's slurred words by the bar. Files are insurance. Leverage. This was a setup, blackmail, maybe worse. Sarah's stomach churned as she pieced it together. Tom ran a real estate firm with Jake as his top salesman. They'd been cagey lately, dodging her questions about late nights and big deals. She'd chalked it up to stress, to her own exhaustion from raising Evo alone while Jake drifted further away. But this was calculated. She yanked her hand back, the bouquet trembling slightly, and stepped away just as a server brushed past with a tray of champagne flutes. Too close. She needed air. Clutching Eva, Sara slipped toward a side door leading to a quiet patio, the cool mountain breeze a shock against her flushed skin. She set Eva in her stroller, parked beside a stone bench, and paced, her heels clicking on the flagstones. The transmitter meant someone was listening, right now. Was it Tom? Jake? Both? She replayed every moment of the day. Jake's flinch when she'd pointed out the camera, his insistence she stay out of it. He knew. He had to. The realization hit like a punch. She wasn't just a bystander. She was married to this. Back inside, the party roared on. Sara returned, her mind a tangle of fear and fury, and spotted Tom by the bar again. He was louder now, whiskey loosening his tongue. "Guy's got no clue," he said to the same slick-haired guest, grinning. "We've got him on tape, meetings, calls, all of it. He'll pay or he's done." The guest smirked. "And the wife?" Tom shrugged. "Kate's fine. She doesn't ask." Sarah's blood ran cold. They were targeting someone. Maybe a business partner, maybe a rival. And Jake was in it up to his neck. She couldn't confront him here, not with 100 witnesses and Eva in her arms. But doing nothing wasn't an option either. She edged toward the head table again, this time with purpose. The bouquet was unguarded. Kate was still dancing, Tom distracted. Sarah's hands shook as she slipped the transmitter free, its weight cold and heavy in her palm. She tucked it into Eva's diaper bag, burying it under wipes and a spare onesie. Evidence. Leverage of her own. She straightened, forcing a smile as a cousin waved her over, but her pulse hammered in her throat. That's when Jake's shadow fell across her. He'd crossed the room faster than she'd expected, his hazel eyes locked on her like a hawk's. "You're hovering," he said, voice low and tight. "What's with you tonight?" Sara met his gaze, her smile brittle. "Just enjoying the party. Eva's fussy, that's all." He tilted his head, studying her. "You sure? You look off." Her skin prickled. He was fishing, testing her. "I'm fine," she lied, adjusting Eva's blanket to hide the bag. Jake lingered a beat too long, then nodded. "Good. Keep it that way." He turned back to Tom, but his shoulders stayed tense, like he knew something was slipping. Sara exhaled, her knees weak. She'd crossed a line, stolen from them, put herself in their crosshairs. The transmitter burned a hole in her conscience, but it was her only card to play. She didn't know how deep this went, how far Jake would go to protect it. But one thing was clear. The wedding wasn't the celebration she'd thought. It was a stage, and she'd just stepped into the spotlight. The Denver reception hall shimmered with late-night energy, the chandeliers casting fractured light across the dance floor. Sara Mitchell sat at a table near the edge, Eva's head resting against her chest, her daughter's soft breaths a fragile tether to calm. The transmitter she'd stolen from the bouquet weighed heavy in the diaper bag at her feet, a secret humming with danger. The party spun on, guests laughing, glasses clinking, the band crooning a slow cover of some old love song. But Sara felt detached, like she was watching it all through a fogged-up window. Her mind churned, replaying Tom's drunken boast about leverage, Jake's cold warning to stay out of it, the camera's unblinking eye. She'd stepped into something dark, something bigger than her crumbling marriage, and now she had to decide, bury it or fight. She shifted Eva gently, her arms aching from hours of holding her. Jake was across the room, his tie loosened, his smile tight as he toasted with Tom and their suited cronies. He hadn't looked at her in over an hour, but she felt his presence like a shadow, always there, always watching when she least expected it. The past year flashed through her mind, his sharp critiques of her cooking, his sighs when she asked for help with Eva, the way he'd stopped touching her hand in public. She'd told herself it was stress, his job, the baby, the endless grind. But this? Blackmail at his brother's wedding? It wasn't stress. It was who he'd become, or maybe who he'd always been. Sara's fingers brushed the diaper bag, the transmitter's outline pressing through the fabric. She could slip it back into the bouquet, pretend she'd never seen it, go home, and keep playing the quiet wife. It'd be easier, safer. Jake might never know. But the thought twisted her gut. She'd spent months shrinking, swallowing her voice to keep the peace. And for what? A husband who flinched at her touch? A life where Eva's cries were hers alone to soothe? No, she couldn't unsee this. She couldn't unknow it. The transmitter wasn't just evidence of their scheme. It was proof she wasn't crazy, that the distance between her and Jake wasn't all in her head. Her resolve hardened, but fear clawed at it. What if Jake found out? He'd never hit her. His control was subtler, colder, but she'd seen his temper flare with others. A slammed door, a shattered glass, a voice that could cut steel. And Tom, he was worse. Arrogant, reckless, the kind of man who'd ruin someone just to prove he could. If they realized she'd taken it, what would they do? Take Eva? Paint her as unstable? Her breath hitched, her grip on Eva tightening until the baby stirred, whimpering. "Shoo, sweet girl," Sara whispered, rocking her. She had to think this through. She had to be smart. The band paused, and the DJ announced a break. Sara seized the moment, slipping toward the patio again, Eva's stroller rattling over the threshold. The cool air hit her like a slap, clearing her head. She parked the stroller and dug the transmitter from the bag, its sleek surface glinting under the string lights. She turned it over, spotting a tiny switch. Off, for now. Good. No one was listening. Yet. She could turn it on, catch them talking, but not here, not with Jake's eyes darting her way every so often. She needed time, a plan. Tucking it back under the wipes, she pulled out her phone, hands trembling as she scrolled to an old contact. Ellie Harper, her college roommate, now a lawyer in Boulder. Ellie would know what to do. Sara typed a quick text, "Need advice. Urgent. Call me tomorrow," and hit send before she could second-guess it. Back inside, the mood had shifted. Jake was at the bar now, alone, nursing a whiskey. He spotted her as she re-entered, his gaze locking on hers across the crowded room. Her pulse spiked. Had he seen her outside? Did he suspect? He crossed the floor with purpose, his strides long and deliberate, stopping inches from her. "Where'd you go?" His voice was low, edged with something she couldn't place. Anger, maybe, or unease. Sara forced a smile, adjusting Eva in her arms. "Just needed air. It's stuffy in here." His eyes narrowed, flicking to the diaper bag, then back to her face. "You've been weird all night. What's going on?" Her throat tightened. He was too close, his cologne sharp in her nose. "I'm tired, Jake. That's all." He tilted his head, studying her like a puzzle he didn't trust. "Tired," he repeated, then reached for his pocket, pulling out his phone. "You sure it's not something else?" Her stomach dropped. Was he checking her? Tracking her? She'd heard of apps like that. Spouses spying on spouses. "I'm sure," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. He nodded slowly, pocketing the phone. "Good. Let's not make a scene." He turned away, but the weight of his suspicion lingered. That night, back at their suburban home, Sara couldn't sleep. Eva dozed in her crib, the house silent except for Jake's faint snores down the hall. She checked her phone. Ellie hadn't replied yet. Then she noticed it, a new app icon, tucked between her weather and calendar apps. Secure Track. She hadn't downloaded it. Her blood ran cold as she opened it. GPS, call logs, texts, all activated. Jake had done this. She deleted it, hands shaking, and cleared her history. He was watching her, tightening the leash. She clutched the diaper bag closer, the transmitter her only weapon. She'd taken a risk stealing it, and now she was in deeper than ever. Tomorrow, she'd fight back, but tonight, she just had to survive. The morning sun filtered through the blinds of Sara Mitchell's quiet Denver home, casting thin stripes across the kitchen floor. Eva babbled in her high chair, smearing oatmeal on her tray, while Sara stood at the counter, coffee untouched, her phone buzzing with Ellie's reply. "Call me now." "What's urgent?" Sara's hands shook as she dialed, the transmitter from the wedding bouquet still hidden in the diaper bag on the table. Jake had left for work an hour ago, his goodbye a grunted, "Be home late." No kiss, no eye contact. She'd barely slept, the sting of Secure Track on her phone replaying in her mind. He was closing in, and she had to move fast. Ellie picked up on the second ring, her voice warm but sharp. "Sara, you okay?" Your text sounded off. Sara took a breath, glancing at Eva to steady herself. "I'm not okay. Jake's into something bad. Blackmail, maybe worse. I found a camera and a transmitter at Tom's wedding. I took it." Silence stretched, then Ellie's tone shifted to lawyer mode. "You stole it? Where is it now?" "In my bag," Sara whispered. "Jake doesn't know, yet. But he put a tracking app on my phone. He's watching me." Ellie didn't hesitate. "That's evidence, potentially illegal surveillance. Don't touch it again. Meet me in Boulder today, noon. Bring it. We'll figure this out." Sara hung up, her pulse racing. Boulder was an hour's drive, doable, but risky. Jake could check her location, call her, show up unannounced. She deleted the app, but what if he had another? She packed Eva's essentials, diapers, snacks, a blanket, slipping the transmitter into a Ziploc bag under a stack of onesies. She scribbled a note. "Errands with Eva," left it on the counter, and loaded the car, her every move mechanical, deliberate. As she buckled Eva in, her phone pinged. A text from Jake. "Where you at?" Her stomach dropped. She typed back, "Grocery run," and hit send, praying he'd buy it. No reply. She pulled out, the mountains looming in her rear view, a silent witness to her escape. The drive to Boulder was a blur of paranoia. Every car behind her felt like Jake's, every red light a trap. She kept the radio off, listening for Eva's coos over the hum of her own thoughts. Ellie met her at a coffee shop near her law firm, a cozy spot with mismatched chairs and the smell of roasted beans. She hugged Sara, her blonde curls brushing Sara's cheek, then sat her down. "Show me." Sara slid the transmitter across the table, keeping it in the bag. Ellie examined it, her brow furrowing. "This is high-end. Audio, video, live feed. If they're recording without consent, it's a felony in Colorado. Who's the target?" Sara shook her head. "I don't know. Someone Tom bragged about having on tape. Jake's in on it. I heard them." Ellie leaned back, eyes narrowing. "We need more. Can you get them talking? Sarah's throat tightened. They'll kill me if they find out. Ellie softened. Not literally, just legally. I'll guide you. Record them discreetly. Then we go to the cops. Sara nodded, the weight of it sinking in. She wasn't just saving herself. She was taking them down. Ellie paid for their coffees, promising to draft a plan. Sara drove home, her resolve stealing with every mile, but dread gnawed at her. She had to face Jake tonight. He was waiting when she walked in, tie off, whiskey in hand, sitting at the kitchen table. Eva fussed in her arms, but Sara froze. His eyes were too calm, too focused. Groceries, he said, nodding at her empty hands. She forced a smile. Forgot my wallet. Had to turn back. He stood, slow and deliberate, stepping closer. You're lying. I called the store. You weren't there. Her heart slammed against her ribs. I went for a drive, Jake. Eva needed air. He loomed over her, his breath sharp with liquor. Don't play me, Sara. I know you're up to something. She clutched Eva tighter, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. I'm not the one hiding things. His jaw clenched, a flicker of rage breaking through his mask. You're pushing me. If you do something stupid, like take Eva and run, I'll make sure you lose her. Courts love a stable dad. The threat landed like a blow, but Sara didn't flinch. Try it, she said, meeting his gaze. He smirked, stepping back. We'll see. He grabbed his keys and stormed out, the door slamming behind him. Sara exhaled, knees weak, and checked her phone. Ellie's text. Use voice memo. Get him admitting it. Stay safe. That night, Jake came home late, reeking of bar smoke. Sara waited in the living room, phone in her pocket, recording on. He slumped onto the couch, muttering about a deal falling through. She seized the opening. Tom's wedding, was that a deal too? The camera and the flowers? He froze, eyes snapping to hers. What did you say? She pressed, calm but firm. I saw it, Jake. Heard Tom talking about leverage. What are you two doing? He laughed, bitter and low. You're paranoid. But yeah, we've got tapes, some idiot who crossed Tom. He'll pay, or his business is toast. Happy now? Her blood ran cold, but she had it, his voice, clear as day. The next morning, she met Ellie at the Boulder police station, Eva in tow. She handed over the transmitter and the recording, her hands steady despite the storm inside. The detective, a gruff woman with a buzz cut, listened, nodding. This is enough for a warrant. Good work. Sara sank into a chair, relief crashing over her. She'd risked everything, her marriage, her safety, but she'd caught them. Jake and Tom didn't know it yet, but their game was up. Justice wasn't loud or violent. It was this, a quiet room, a lawful fight, and the truth finally breaking free. The fluorescent lights of the Boulder police station buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow on the linoleum floor. Sara Mitchell sat in a hard plastic chair, Eva dozing in her stroller beside her, a blanket tucked around her tiny frame. It was late afternoon, 2 days after Sara had handed over the transmitter and Jake's recorded confession. Her hands rested in her lap, still but not calm, anticipation thrown through her like a live wire. The detective, Officer Reyes, had promised an update today. Sara's eyes flicked to the clock, for 17 p.m. Every tick felt like a countdown to freedom or failure. Her phone vibrated, a text from Ellie. Warrants issued. They're moving now. Hang tight. Sara exhaled, her breath shaky. She'd done everything right, stolen the transmitter, recorded Jake's admission, handed it all to the law. But doubt gnawed at her. What if they'd covered their tracks? What if Jake twisted it, made her the villain? He'd threatened to take Eva, and he had money, charm, a family that believed his every word. She smoothed Eva's hair, the soft curls grounding her. No, she had the truth. That had to be enough. The door swung open, and Reyes strode in, her buzz cut sharp against the collar of her uniform. Mitchell, she said, voice clipped but not unkind. We've got them. Search turned up a hard drive at Tom's place, videos, audio, emails. They were blackmailing a contractor, guy named Hensley, over some shady permits. Your recording sealed it. Arrested them an hour ago. Sara's chest loosened, a weight lifting she hadn't known she'd carried. Both of them? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. Reyes nodded. Jake and Tom. Caught Jake at the dealership, Tom at his office. They're looking at felony charges, wiretapping, extortion. Bail's denied for now. Relief flooded her, sharp and sweet, but tears pricked her eyes too. It was over. She'd won, not with screams or fists, but with quiet, lawful courage. Reyes softened, sliding a card across the table. You'll need to testify. DA's solid, though. This'll stick. Sara took the card, nodding. Thank you. Reyes paused, then added, You did good, getting out of that mess. Not everyone does. She left, the door clicking shut, and Sara sat there, letting it sink in. Jake and Tom in cuffs. Justice, not revenge. That night, Sara stayed at Ellie's apartment in Boulder, a cozy one-bedroom with bookshelves and a view of the Flatirons. Eva slept in a borrowed crib, and Sara sipped tea on the couch, Ellie beside her. You're free, Ellie said, her smile tired but real. Not yet, Sara replied. Court's next, custody, divorce. He'll fight. Ellie squeezed her hand. He'll lose. You've got evidence, a clean record. I'll make sure of it. Sara nodded, staring into her mug. Free. The word felt foreign, fragile, but it was hers to claim now. A week later, she faced Jake one last time, not in person, but through glass at the county jail. He'd requested a visit, and against Ellie's advice, Sara went. He sat in an orange jumpsuit, stubble shadowing his jaw, his charm stripped bare. You happy now? He spat, voice muffled through the phone. Ruining me? Tom. Sara met his glare, unflinching. You ruined yourself. I just stopped you. His nostrils flared. I'll get out. You'll regret this. She leaned closer, voice steady. No, Jake. I won't. You don't control me anymore. She hung up, walked out, the clank of the door behind her a final note. Outside, the mountain air was crisp, clean, a new start. The legal fallout unfolded over months. Sara got a restraining order, then temporary custody of Eva, bolstered by Jake's charges. The divorce filing was next. Her lawyer, a fierce woman Ellie recommended, shredding Jake's attempts to spin her as unstable. Tom's wife, Kate, filed too, blindsided by the truth. The trial was swift. Jake and Tom pled guilty to lesser charges, netting 3 years each. Hensley, their target, walked free, his name cleared. Sara didn't gloat. She just moved on. On a crisp October evening, Tom's family hosted a small dinner in Denver, not a celebration, but a reckoning. Sara was invited, a surprise from Kate, who'd apologized in tears for not seeing it sooner. Sara stood in a borrowed sweater, Eva on her hip, facing a room of familiar faces now tinged with shame or awe. Kate handed her a mic, voice soft. Say something? Please. Sara hesitated, then took it, the weight lighter than she'd expected. I spoke at the wedding, she began, her voice clear, about trust, about seeing each other. I didn't know then what Jake and Tom were hiding. I found out, and I could have stayed quiet, kept the peace. But peace isn't real if it's built on lies. The room stilled, eyes on her. I fought, legally, fairly, because I had to see myself first. Not as a wife, not as a shadow, but as me. Jake threatened to take Eva, to break me. He lost. Not because I'm better, but because truth matters. She paused, glancing at Eva's sleepy smile. We're free now. That's enough. No one clapped, just nodded, some with tears, some with tight lips. Kate hugged her, whispering, Thank you. Sara drove back to her new apartment, a small rental with creaky floors and a view of the plains, Eva asleep in the back. She didn't need applause. She had her daughter, her voice, a life reclaimed. Jake and Tom faced their consequences, locked away by their own choices. Justice wasn't loud. It was this, a mother humming to her child, a door locked only for safety, and a future she'd earned, step by lawful step.